And we're back with Katsutaka Edogawa, former mayor of Japan's town of Futaba, witness of the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Mr. Edogawa, thanks again for being with us. So, after the tragedy, the government wanted to build nuclear waste storage facilities on the territory of Futaba. You were very much against that, but now, as I understand, these facilities are going to be built after all. Do you fear that that will prevent residents from ever returning to their town?
The media reported as if the final decision has been already made, but that's not true. The problem lies with the decision-making process. That's why I keep saying, no, this won't fly. The central government makes all the decisions on its own. It acts as it pleases. In our country, decisions can't be made without taking people's opinion into consideration. But the government ignores this and just does everything the way they see fit. After all, this matter is up to landowners. Unless they agree, nothing can happen. That's how things work in Japan. And even though there's been much speculation, nobody has talked to landowners yet. So, media reports suggesting that the final decision has been made are premature. In reality, nothing has been decided. It is not clear at this point what will happen. All we know right now is that there will be repositories built and that land will be nationalized. Radiation is a big problem today, but even this problem hasn't been solved yet. Without consulting with us, with the people that is, Fukushima Prefecture announced that people will be relocated for 30 years, but they failed to keep this promise as well. It's all very unreasonable. All the unpopular decisions were made without us. That's why I've been saying all this time, no, this is not an option.
Now, in the beginning of the program, you have touched upon the inability of TEPCO to manage the situation on the nuclear plant. They have been struggling to contain the situation for over 3 years now. Why are they failing? Where are they going wrong?
That's the way TEPCO works. The problem is with its structure. People working at the head office are in privileged conditions, but those working in the field are having a hard time. That's the way it was even before the accident. That's how this company operates. When the accident happened, TEPCO couldn't give us, or even its own employees, the names of the people responsible for the accident. They couldn't do that because there aren't any real professionals there. Even before the accident, I would sometimes go to their office as mayor, ask them a lot of questions. How do you train your staff? Is everything all right? Is there any chance that your old equipment may fail? In response, I got only nice words. But they didn't take any practical steps. They hardly ever did anything. TEPCO thinks too high of itself, delegating almost everything to subcontractors. That's why, when something happens, there is nobody to be held accountable. In addition, the company is not on top of the situation on the ground. Even today, we received a report saying that they made a mistake and used the wrong pump, and as a result, contaminated water ended up where it shouldn't have ended up. This is the kind of news we're still getting. As for the restoration of the city, I am gravely concerned about the future of my hometown, the future of Futaba.
There's information nowadays that Japan's homeless are among those recruited to take part in the major cleanup. I mean, are they a viable workforce in this case? Is this because there's a lack of qualified workers, or because those people are considered sort of disposable? And is it even true? Is this information even true?
Unfortunately, it's true. If you use workers on a one-off basis, you don't have to watch out for radiation, you don't need to care about their health. We must respect people, care about them. When talking about the Tokyo Olympics in 2020, Prime Minister Abe likes to talk about Japanese hospitality, and he uses this Japanese word, omotenashi, which literally means that you should treat people with an open heart. But in reality, that isn't happening. While Prime Minister Noda was busy promoting himself, authorities began to care less about people who worked at the Fukushima plant. Their equipment was getting worse. Preparation was getting worse. So people had to think about their safety first. That's why those who understood the real danger of radiation began to quit. Now we have unprofessional people working there. They don't really understand what they're doing. That's the kind of people who would use the wrong pump, for example, who make mistakes like that. I'm particularly concerned about their leaders. It seems to me their team leaders aren't real professionals. They don't know what they're doing. I am really ashamed for my country. But I have to speak the truth for the sake of keeping our planet clean in the future.
The fact that the government was covering up the real scale of the disaster for so long has anything to do with traditional Japanese fear of losing face?
They simply wanted to avoid responsibility.
No, I understand that, but why keep this quiet for so long? Why didn't they tell the world how bad it really was? Why is that?
There were some sad chapters in the history of Japan. The same thing happened with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The authorities lied to everyone. They said it was safe. They hid the truth. That's the situation we're living in. It's not just Fukushima. Japan has a lot of dark history. What's happening now is a sort of a sacrifice to the past.
But talking about Fukushima, the United Nations report on the radiation fallout from Fukushima says no radiation-related deaths or acute diseases have been observed among the workers and the general public exposed. So it's not that dangerous after all, or is there not enough information available to make proper assessments? What do you think?
This report is completely false. The report was made by a representative of Japan, Professor Hayano. Representing Japan, he lied to the whole world from the UN podium. When I was mayor, I knew many people who died from heart attacks, and then there were also many people in Fukushima who died suddenly, even young people. It's a real shame that the authorities are hiding the truth from the whole world. We need to admit that many people are actually dying. We're not allowed to say that, but even TEPCO employees, they're also dying. But everyone's keeping mum about it.
Do you have an estimate of casualties?
I don't have the numbers with me today.
Sir, we only need an approximate estimate just to understand the scale of the tragedy you're talking about.
It's a huge responsibility to give specific numbers. It's hard for me because I haven't studied this matter personally. But it's not just one or two people. We're talking about 10 to 20 people who died this way.
Well, you said that despite the Fukushima disaster, Japan is planning to build more nuclear reactors, eventually satisfying at least half of its energy needs with nuclear energy. Well, obviously you're against that, but Japan really has no other choice in terms of energy, does it?
Yes, it has. Japan's an archipelago. It has plenty of rivers, tides, ebbs. But hydro energy is not used at all. Why? Because it's not as profitable for big companies. Actually, we can provide electricity for a large number of people, even with limited investment, without taxes. Just use gravity, and we may have so much energy that there will be no need for nuclear plants anymore. We also need to change our laws. There are many laws in Japan. Perhaps too many. There are laws about rivers and the ways they're used. We could change laws regarding agricultural water use and start using rivers to produce electricity. Changing just this law alone will allow us to produce a lot of energy. We can solve the problem by using natural energy without contaminating our planet. But this does not appeal to big companies. Because in that case, you won't need big investments, you don't need to build big power plants. It's not that profitable for investors, for capitalists. But people in Japan are beginning to realize that we need to avert nuclear disasters. So 60 to 70% of the population are in favor of using natural energy. It took us a long time, but one day we'll follow the example of Europe, of Germany.
Have you personally felt the consequences of the catastrophe? Has your health been affected?
Yes, I now get tired quicker. It's getting harder to speak. I often get colds. My eyesight's gotten worse. I have a cataract. My stomach hurts. My skin is very dry. My muscles are weak in different parts of my body. These are all the consequences of the catastrophe.
Are you receiving any aid as somebody who's been affected by the catastrophe?
No, I'm not getting any treatment right now. Actually, there is no place I could go for help. I now live in Saitama. The nearest hospital refused to take me in, so I'm just eating healthy. Hopefully it'll fix me up.
Mr. Adagama, first of all, thank you so much for this interview. Thank you for this insight. Thank you for sharing your memories with us. I really hope you do get better. I hope all of the Japanese people who have suffered the consequences get better, and I hope that Japan eventually overcomes this catastrophe. And life will go on as usual. Thank you very much for your time and your honesty. We're talking to Katsutaka Edogawa, former mayor of Japanese town of Futaba that was hit by the Fukushima nuclear disaster. We're talking about the consequences of the catastrophe and how safe it is for people to return to the Fukushima district right now. That's it for this edition of Sophie & Co. We will see you next time.